Hey everybody, Paisley Imperfect, and I am here today for our very first Make a Plan Monday for 2025. We are finishing up 2024. There are only 2 days left, right? Monday and Tuesday of 2024, and they got us started right away on the restoration of the fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Or, as the chapter is titled, The Promised Restoration Goes Forward. So let's take a look and see what we've got. Notice it's not Doctrine and Covenants section 1. It's the restoration of the fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And something to think about, I've looked through some of these. I've looked through all of January. I started looking into February a little bit, trying to decide how I wanted to structure the Make a Plan Mondays for the Doctrine and Covenants, because they have changed it up a little bit in a really good way, in a really cool way. And something to keep in mind, something that struck me as I was looking at all of this, there are only 138 sections of the Doctrine and Covenants, but there are 365 days in a year. So we are not going to have a section of the Doctrine and Covenants every single day. In fact, if you look over here on the left side, we have section 1, which is January 6th through 12th, and then we don't do section 2 until January 20th, which is 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later. And January 13th through 19th has 2 different things for us to look at, which we will do when we get there. Let's not jump ahead too far. We'll stick with December 30th through January 5th and just look at this. I just wanted to point out that there are fewer sections of the Doctrine and Covenants than there are days in the year. So we're going to get to study a lot of other things as well throughout the year. All right, let's see what we got here. So we have the Come Follow Me book, and then we have Hear Him right here from President Nelson. And then we have, you may remember, the monument of words that they created. So they talked about a monument back in 2020 when it was getting close to 200 years since Joseph Smith's first vision. They talked about perhaps creating a monument for it and decided to create a monument of words instead. And so they wrote a document titled The Restoration of the Fullness of the Gospel of Jesus Christ, a Bicentennial Proclamation to the World. So that is also linked right here and something that I've added to the study plan for this week. If we keep going, there's a talk here by Elder Gong, All Nations, Kindreds, and Tongues. That'll be cool. Also November 2020. There's the Restoration Proclamation, which is the same thing as this right here. I only put that in once. And then we have Joseph Smith History, chapter 1, verses 5 through 20. I did not include that because that's coming up over here in January, later on in January. Verses 5 through 20 will be included in this section right here. If you want to get a head start, feel free. And then if we keep going, we have an opportunity to create our own notes in here. So what do you know about Christ's New Testament church? You can go through and look at Matthew, Mark, Luke, Acts, 1 Corinthians, and Ephesians and create your own note, things that you learned about Christ's New Testament church. And as you're doing that, think about how that compares with the church that you know today. Then this section, or the next piece, is to look at like section 18, section 107, 51, 70, and create your notes based on what you find in the Doctrine and Covenants versus what you found in the New Testament. And then there's more questions, prompting answers. Really, in my opinion, it looks like they're really trying to get us to think this through and really solidify our testimony. Because remember what President Nelson has said over and over again, that it will be impossible for us to survive spiritually without the constant companionship of the Holy Ghost. So I think that they're really trying to help us solidify that foundational testimony. Here's another piece, A Perfect Brightness of Hope. This one is from Elder Holland. And then if you want to dive into the topics and questions on the apostasy and the restoration of the gospel, there's a link right there for that. I did not include that in my checklist. There's another talk down here from President Uchtdorf. Are you sleeping through the restoration? I'm kind of actually looking forward to going through that one again. That was May in 2014, and I honestly don't remember that one. There's another link to the Restoration Proclamation. There's another link to the Restoration Proclamation. I think they kind of maybe want us to study that this week. Just a thought. And then there's another talk here from Elder Cook, the blessing of continuing revelation to prophets and personal revelation to guide our lives. So we get to talk about or learn about revelation as it comes to the prophet Joseph Smith, revelation as it comes to ourselves. Excuse me. And then here's a quick 6-minute testimony from President Nelson. There's, again, Restoration Proclamation. Joseph Smith had questions. It's okay to have questions. Have questions. We can look at Joseph Smith history. Again, I did not include those in the checklist because those will be included in a couple of weeks. And then there's a children's song, This Is My Beloved Son, which is a really good song. There's an activity page down here at the bottom. We'll look at that here in a second. Another link to the Restoration Proclamation. And then there's this video, 2.5 minutes long. We actually watched that for family night tonight. We like to start our week on Sunday night with a quick video, kind of an intro for the week. And then sometimes I bring stuff up with the kids throughout the week, like, hey, I learned this really cool thing about Joseph Smith. Or last year with it being the Book of Mormon, I really liked this thing I read about Moroni, things like that. There's a printable copy of the Restoration of the Fulness of the Gospel of Jesus Christ if you decide you want to print that and hang it in your home somewhere. And then here's the activity page that was referenced before. It's got different sections and how the gospel was restored, from the first vision to receiving the priesthood and keys in the temple and all of that. So that is everything that's in here. And let me show you how I broke it down for myself. My plan looks like this. On Monday, I'm going to do Hear Him. Excuse me, let me zoom in on that a little bit. Monday, I'm going to do Hear Him with President Nelson. On Tuesday, the Restoration of the Fulness of the Gospel of Jesus Christ. And you can read, watch, or listen to that. Wednesday, All Nations, Kindreds, and Tongues from Elder Gong. And the video about the Doctrine and Covenants, The Lord Speaks Again. And that's that super short video at the end. Honestly, I probably won't watch it again on Wednesday, but I added it here just in case I feel like I need something extra. Thursday is A Perfect Brightness of Hope from Elder Holland. Friday, Are You Sleeping Through the Restoration from Elder Uchtdorf. And then last but not least, Saturday, The Blessing of Continuing Revelation to Prophets and Personal Revelation to Guide Our Lives. So on average, it's about 18 minutes a day. Hear Him from President Nelson is 24.5 minutes. That's the longest day. The Restoration of the Fulness of Jesus Christ, that's 9.5 minutes if you listen to it. There was a video for it. The video is only 6 minutes. So it just depends on which link you click on. One's going to be 9.5 and the other one's going to be 6. So one of them probably has some music in it or something cool like that. All Nations, Kindreds, and Tongues from Elder Gong is almost 15. It's just barely under 15 minutes. And then that video about the Doctrine and Covenants, that was 2.5. So that's about 17.5 minutes. And then speaking of 17.5 minutes, that's how long A Perfect Brightness of Hope is. That one is 17 minutes and 45 seconds. Are You Sleeping Through the Restoration is 18.5. And then the one with the longest title is The Shortest Talk. That one is 14 minutes and 10 seconds. The Blessing of Continuing Revelation to Prophets and Personal Revelation to Guide Our Lives. So all told, on average, about 18 minutes a day, with the longest one being that very first one on Monday, Hear Him from President Nelson. Anyway, that's how I have broken up my week. What does yours look like? I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon.